something you should check out. Baalbek is an amazing story, no matter what you believe. Check it out. Okay, Baal of Ugarit was the epithet of Hadad, but as the time passed, the epithet became the god's name, while Hadad became the epithet. Baal was usually said to be the son of Dagon, but appears as one of the sons of El in Ugaritic sources. Both Baal and El were associated with the bull in Ugaritic texts, as it symbolized both strength and fertility. He held special enmity against snakes, both on their own and as representatives of Yamu, lit sea, the Canaanite sea god and river god. He fought the Tanananu, the twisted serpent, Lotan, the fugitive serpent, the biblical Leviathan, and the mighty one with 7 heads. Baal's conflict with Yamu is now generally regarded as the prototype of the vision recorded in the 7th chapter of the biblical book of Daniel. As vanquisher of the sea, Baal was regarded by the Canaanites and Phoenicians as the patron of sailors and seagoing merchants. As vanquisher of Mot, the Canaanite death god, he was known as Baal Rapi Uma, and regarded as the leader of the Raphaim, the ancestral spirits, particularly those of ruling dynasties. And there we get into Mot. From Canaanite worship of Baal Canaan, worship of Baal spread to Egypt in the Middle Kingdom and throughout the Mediterranean following the waves of Phoenician colonization in the early 1st millennium BCE. He was described with diverse epithets, and before Ugarit was rediscovered, it was supposed that these referred to distinct local gods. However, as explained by Day, the text at Ugarit revealed that they were considered local manifestations of this particular deity, analogous to the local manifestations of the Virgin Mary in the Roman Catholic Church. In those inscriptions, he is frequently described as Victorious Baal, Alin or Alin Baal, Mightiest One, Ali or Ali, or Mightiest of the Heroes, Eli Quortum, the Powerful One, Dimern, DMRN, and in his role as patron of the city Baal of Ugarit, as Baal Zephron, Baal Sepunu. He was particularly associated with his palace atop Jebel Akra, the ancient Mount Sapanu in classical Mons Cassius. He is also mentioned as Winged Baal, Baal Knip, BLKNP, and Baal of the Arrows. Phoenician and Aramaic inscriptions describe Baal of the Mace, BIKRNTRYS, Baal of the Lebanon, but BLLBNN, Baal of Sidon, BLSDN, BLSMD, Baal of the Heavens, Baal Shamim or Shamayin, Baal Adur, BLDR, Baal Hammon, Baal HAMON, and BLMGNM. There we go. So we can get into a lot of this. There's a whole explanation on all of this. I don't want to get too far into it because there's a lot of religion here, and be honest, I don't want to cause any kind of friction among people, you know what I mean? If you're curious about what's being written here and you want to learn something, then give it a shot, you know. Dagon is another deity right here that is something that needs to be learned. Dagon, or Dagan, was a god worshipped in ancient Syria across the middle of the Euphrates, with primary temples located in Tutul and Turka. Through many attestations of his cult come from cities such as Mari and Imar as well. Alright, and at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over Ma'at, or Ma'at. Now Ma'at god is the death god. Now Ma'at was a Canaanite god of death and the underworld. He was also known to the people of Ugarit and the Phoenicians, where Canaanite religion was widespread. The main source of information about Ma'at in Canaanite mythology comes from the text discovered in Ugarit, but he is also mentioned in the surviving fragments of Philo of Byblos, Greek translation. Byblos is Greek translation of the writings of the Phoenicians Sanchuniathon, which we've just done with the Phoenicians. So, form of the name. The Ugaritic myth, Ma'at, spelled MT, is the personification of death. The word belongs to a set of cognates meaning death or other Semitic. Death in other Semitic and Afro-Asiatic languages. Arabic, Mawt, M-A-W-T. Hebrew, Mot, M-O-T, or Mavet, M-A-V-A-T. Ancient Hebrew, Muth, M-U-T-H, or Maveth, and Maweth. Maveth is M-A-V-E-T-H, and then Maweth is M-A-W-E-T-H. Maltese, Moot, M-E-W-T, Syriac, Ma'uta, Ge'ez Mot, or Ge'ez Mot, that's G-E, punctuation, E-Z, and that's Mod. Canaanite, Egyptian, Berber, Aramaic, Nabatean, and Palmyrene is MWT. Jewish, Aramaic, Christian, Palestinian, Arabic, and Sumerian is MWT. Mandean, Muta, Akkadian, Mutu, Hausa, Mutuwa, and Angus, Mut. Akkadian is Mutu. So, the Akkadian is something that I really need to check out separate from the Sumerians too. It's something I need to dig deeper into. The Akkadians is an extinct East Semitic language that was spoken in the ancient in ancient Mesopotamia from the 3rd millennia BC until its gradual replacement in common use of Old Aramaic among Assyrians and Babylonians from the 8th century BC. Okay. Religion and mythology. Ugaritic texts. The main source of the story of Mot's death is Ugaritic. He is a son of El, and according to instructions given by the god Hadad, Baal, to his messengers, lives in a city named Himri or Mari. A pit is his throne, and filth is the land of his heritage. But Baal warns them that you not come near to divine death, lest he makes you like a lamb in his mouth, and you both be carried away like a kid in the breach of his windpipe. Now, kid, a lot of people get that mixed up, but a kid is actually a baby sheep. So when you hear the word kid in these writings, you need to understand that they're talking about baby lambs. They're not talking about like a literal kid in today's world. So that kind of gets a little mistaken. I learned that with the Sumerians. Kid was a common term for a lamb, a baby lamb. So let me move on. Hadad seems to be urging that Mot come to his feast and submit himself to Hadad. Death sends back a message that his appetite is that of lions in the wilderness, like the longing of dolphins in the sea, and he threatens to devour Baal himself. In a subsequent passage, Death seemingly makes good his threat, or at least is deceived into believing he has slain Baal. Numerous gaps in the text makes this portion of the tale obscure. The sun stops shining as its goddess Shapash joins Baal's sister Anat in burying him. Anat then comes upon Mot, seizing him, splitting him with a blade, winnowing him in a sieve, burning him in a fire, grinding him under a millstone, and throwing what remains in the end over a field of birds to devour. Baal's father, dreams that Baal is alive and sends Shapash to bring him back to life because the land had become dry. After 7 years, Death returns, seeking vengeance and demanding one of Baal's brothers to feed upon. A gap in the text is followed by Mot complaining that Baal has given Mot his own brothers to eat, the sons of his mother to consume. A single combat between the two breaks out until the sun goddess Shapash upbraids Mot, informing him that his own father El will turn against him and overturn his throne if he continues. Mot concedes and the conflict ends. Influence on the Passover. Few scholars have postulated the idea that the Jewish tradition of Passover may have begun as a ritual connected with the myth of Mot killing Baal, as Baal was the goddess of rain among the Canaanites and certain other Semitic nations. Modern scholars has disputed such views as a failure to take into account the original narrative and cultural context, pointing instead to a purposeful subversion of the Baal-Mot myth on the part of the authors of the Hebrew Bible, working in a framework of an audience who were well acquainted with the religious worldview of the surrounding nations. Phoenician sources. A Phoenician account survives in a paraphrase of the Greek author Philo of Byblos by Eusebius, who writes of a Phoenician historian named Sanchuniathon. In this account, Death is a son of El, counted as a god, as the text says in speaking of El or Kronos.